Record.
Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML, the year of magical learning. If you're new here, welcome and hello. And if you're returning, hello again. Today we're on book 119 and we have about 15 minutes for this podcast.
But run for trains. We do not
don't
run for trains.
and that's why. So take it over, Chris. Let's tell us what we were talking about.
Yeah, so the book that we're talking about today is book 119. It's called The New Confessions of an Economic Hitman by the author John Perkins. So this dude, his name's John. He is what he calls an economic hitman. So he's a former economic hitman. So basically what he did as his career was he would go into these emerging governments and emerging economies, and he would basically use money and trillions of dollars from like some of the world's richest companies to manipulate and take control of, to almost financially hold these economies hostage. He calls himself an economic hitman. It's like a tell-all story of all the bad shit that he does and all the other economic hitmen out there in the world, and how this dark underbelly economy, these economic people that are like these white collar people that are calling a lot of the shots out there in the world, kind of thing that you don't even really see and hear about. So this whole book's about his life and how he got into that world, and then how he got out of it, and how he wants to kind of transform the way that people see the world. So it was kind of actually an interesting book. It was kind of eye-opening. It certainly was like a lot of the stuff that he talked about in it. But this reflection title is called The Life Economy. Perkins offers, as you can see in the last section down here, specific actions to transform what he calls a failing death economy into a life economy that provides a sustainable abundance for all, right? So I started off this reflection with like the growth monster. This is something that I've kind of visualized over the years now that we've been doing a lot of this stuff, is like, that's how this world works, right? It's like we feel like we have to constantly feed this growth monster, otherwise the engine's just going to seize up. Everything's going to fall apart. Like, that's how our modern society runs. Like, if we aren't growing, we're dying. It's literally like a never-ending perpetual growth cycle all the time. And somehow, for some weird reason, we've been able to maintain it and sustain it up to this point in time. But I think we all know that the further that we push, eventually we're going to hit a threshold where you can't just grow in perpetuity forever and ever. I think of the company that I work for. You think of these startup high growth companies that are in the tech space. If they're not growing, I don't know, 10x year over year, every single year, they're considered not, a viable investor thing. So they put a ton of pressure on everybody that, works there. And it's like, we got to constantly feed the growth monster. Even if we're having successful customers and building successful relationships and still growing at a sustainable pace, if we're not hitting the metrics that our investors expect, then all of a sudden it all starts to reverse and fall apart. That's the growth monster to me. The engine of the growth monster is debt and fear, as the author says. That's the keys to success in our modern world, right? So honestly, I can't really argue with that. The growth monster is the lifeblood of the death economy, and it's all about plundering resources to sustain what we built and keep that model pumping and flowing, right? So the obvious question is, what do we do? If that's what life is like today, and our economy is built on growth and fear and debt, how do we change it? The author's solution is something he calls the life economy, which is recognizing the world and resources are finite and it's unsustainable to continue to feed this growth monster, and to rather, instead of focus on the death economy, focus on one that's built on ideas of replacement and rejuvenation and connection and life, supporting life. It's like probiotics versus antibiotics, right? Like, it's literally, I don't know if you know what that means, but it's pro-life. Probiotics means pro-life, biotics are life, and antibiotics are not anti-life. So for me, it just reminds me to think of the life economy. It's an infinite game, and we're excited to play it every single day and look forward to building more of the world up around us and creating more of a sustainable life, a balanced life, one of, that we talk about all the time, of meaningful work and meaningful relationships, versus constantly trying to just feed the monster to grow and grow. We actually, even in Clubany, had our own death economy kind of conversation that was started back when we were doing the core values quest regularly, where we were like, well, we got to get this many people into the quest to start, and we got to get this many people into guides, and we got to get this many people at this date and to do this and do that, because then we got to hit this to be able to do this. At a certain point in time, we were all like, what are we doing? Like, that's not what we're doing this for. We're not doing this to hit numbers and to focus on outcomes. This was about people first, and understanding what matters to them and help them to build a sustainable, balanced existence themselves. And then whatever comes of that will come of that, right? That's what we have to do. And that's what the life economy is to me. Love to pause there and get your thoughts.
So the death economy means that eventually whatever you build will die, right? That's why he calls it death economy.
No, he calls it the death economy because it's well, yes, yeah, you're right. Whatever you build will die someday. Like this is not sustainable. Like I mean, like pumping up one economy with a bunch of money and controlling it, like it's not. It's fake. It's all fake.
There's so much growth you can do, and there's so much, I guess, number of X's you can grow until it stopped.
Right.
And then it's gonna go away altogether. And so is that why they call it a death economy? Because it's not sustainable. Eventually
Exactly.
it leads to death.
Exactly.
And the life economy is what? According to the author.
It's the life economy, according to the author, is one that's built around the ideas of replacement, rejuvenation, and connection.
So that means
Sustainability.
So what is sustainability in terms of the economy though? I mean, economies still have to grow.
They don't. I mean, that's what we said. That's the rules that we said. Like, why does an economy have to grow at 2%, or otherwise, like, why can't it shrink every once in a while? Like, there's different seasons of life, right? Like, I mean, we're technically entering into a recession, right? So who says that? Like, just because everybody says we're in a recession, then everybody starts to act differently, to do things differently. Then the Fed starts to get involved. We start to manipulate markets. We start to do all this stuff, and it's like, look,
Well,
like,
I think it's just an excuse
to keep pumping the
to justify your action.
right.
It's an excuse to say, okay, I want to raise interest rate because the economy is in this, or it's excuse to give money to somebody, to a company, or some friends in high places because it's we're in recessions. To me, it's more an excuse. As far as the economy is concerned, right? Economy is like, as long as it's running, as long as people are spending, as long as people are buying, as long as people are making money, right? It's an exchange of money, it's exchange of services.
It's
good
exchange of
because
values.
you can grow potatoes and I can grow, corns, and we exchange. Well, you exchange me 3 potatoes and I give you 5 corns, right? That thing doesn't have to grow into, okay, you give me 5 potatoes and I give you, 8 or 10 corn, right? It doesn't have to increase the value. It has to be, is that enough? So to me, a life economy means in a balanced way. Do we have enough to sustain the life that we want? Do we have enough to have enough room in with a roof over our head? We don't need a 5-bedroom or 10-bedroom mansions to say, hey, I need this. This is my security. I just need 1 bedroom if I live by myself, or with my wife. If I have other kids, then I probably need a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom house. I don't need that big. And beyond that, what else do I need? I probably don't need more money, right? I just need enough money, because the life economy, according to you and me in company, is about how to live life at its fullest. Meaning, do you spend the time to do the things that you want, whenever you want, and however you want it? That doesn't necessarily involve money, because like for me and you, I love to go fishing. A fishing license is gonna cost me like $5 for a weekend, right? And a fishing rod's gonna cost me like probably $100. And that is time well spent. It's not a lot of money, but for me, it's meaningful. Or I can go and be teaching somebody how to code, or to hang out with you, to do the the podcast and learn about different lessons and learn about things I can use for my life. To me, that's meaningful. It costs us almost no money because we get online. Most of the software we have is it's already paid by another project, another job. So it's not like we actually spend a lot of money doing this. So for me, life economy, that's how I think about in terms of the life economy. Kind of distinguish that from what the author is saying in terms of the economy specifically, right? For us, the life economy is the life of the individuals, the life of the tribe, the life of the group. And I think that's fitting because most people forget that the point of working is so you have the ability to enjoy the life. It's not to say, hey, I'm working.
It's a part of your life. It's a part of your life. It's not. It is not a separate
Well,
entity.
let me take that
to
back.
fund your life.
I think it's the trading of your time, right? It's quote unquote work, because we have the term meaningful work versus work. So work is like, hey, I'm trading time to get the money so I can do the thing that matters to me. Meaningful work is just work that matters to me, but I'm also getting paid for it. And so a lot of people over time forget that they don't have to work all their life. Because when they say, well, I'm going to go fishing, I'm going to build a garden, or I'm going to do whatever when I retire, because that's the wrong perspective of looking at life. Life is like, okay, when you retire is when you have the time, when you have the ability, when you have the freedom to do the things that you want, right? You say, hey, I have to sacrifice. I have to take the growth monster, right? I have to be with a
Right.
growth monster. I have to be participate in a death economy to get that. And to me, that's the options that I think people may miss, just because it's been kind of like pounded to us from the media, from the people we talk to. Everybody
Right.
agrees with it, just because it's a mass hysteria, right?
Why do you need a venture capital firm to invest in your company? No, we don't need
But the
that.
thing is, the current way that we are doing things is that whenever we are raising money, is essentially we are trying to, I guess, squish the timeline.
Right. No, it is because
We just squish the
yeah.
timeline,
Right.
and the reason why we squish the timeline is because we want to exit, right?
Correct.
And so meaning that you're not doing meaningful work, because meaningful work is that you don't want to sell that baby. But
There's an
because
outcome. There's an
but
outcome in
if
mind,
you're
that's
raising
all it is.
money, you want to hand this off to somebody in exchange for a bag of money, right?
Exactly.
And that is the wrong perspective right out of the gate. And so a lot of people say, hey, I started this company. I get it to a point where I can convince somebody to give me money, and I'm gonna give money. I say, well, these VC give me money, you should give me money too. So you basically pitching these VCs against each other. I say,
Right.
oh, they fund, you should fund, they fund. So these guys fund, the other guys fund, so they would go against each other to kind of bid on the company, and you kind of like artificial raising your company shares in at the point where you can just hand them over to somebody in exchange for back money, and then you say, thank you very much, and then
Right.
you disappear. And so to me, most of the VC world is like that. I mean, you can tell me I'm wrong all day long, but that's what I see. Nobody, I mean, the thing is, you look at a VC, is their exit is 3 to 5 years.
They want to kill these companies. Like they want you to become successful, plunder the resources, and then sell it off to somebody else, and
I
then
mean,
go
they
do it
want the
again.
return on investment, so they don't
Right.
want the company. They just want to ride, right? Just like, hey, if
Right.
the stocks goes up, right, I want to ride from here to there, and then I exit. So most company, like I say, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, rarely 7 years, rarely 10 years, right? The majority of the VCs exit within 3 to 5 years. That's like 80% or 90%, and probably more than that. I
Right.
don't know specifically, but I know it's very common. So that means that they don't have skin in the company itself. They just want to say, hey, go make this look rosy so that you can fool the next investor to pick up whatever, the hot potato, whatever you want. They don't care whether or not they actually make money. They only care about whether you can convince people that you're making money.
Right.
Right? You're putting a veil over somebody's head. Say, hey, this is really great. I come in, I put in technology, I paint the house, and it looks better, and I hide other spots. And then they say, hey, here you go. Here's a big, lucrative business you should buy. Say, why are you selling if it's good, right? That's what I'm saying. Is why are you selling if it's good? But the thing is that's what they do. Private
Yeah.
equity firms, that's all they do, right? They don't do anything other than that. That's what they do, is they get return on investment for all of their funding. That's their aim.
Right. It's always about an outcome. It's always outcome based, right? Like
Right.
like it's never about the mission, the purpose, the person, like what does this culture have? What happens to this culture when you sell this business? What
And
happens
so,
to
and so
all these people's lives?
because that's the thing, is you're in this hamster wheel of sort that drives the death economy accelerated to a point where it runs faster and faster every single day. Most companies, it took them 10 years to raise money. Now it took them like 5 years, 2 years.
Sometimes they
Like
get in 6 months.
exactly.
Yeah,
So you're
right.
accelerating this growth. It's like some company just get out of the gate.
Call it blitz scaling, right?
If anybody tells you that is sustainable and that is real, they're dreaming. Because
Well,
to
their
grow,
intention, their intentions are their intentions are not on something of substance. Their intentions are on growth and money, and that's it.
Fluff. It's just is an empty shell. You look at
Right.
it like, for example, a lot of the chickens that we raise today, right? We pump them with steroids, so they hatch within like 30 days or 45 days, right? And they become a big grown chicken. That chicken is not like, the meat is so soft, right? Because there's not any muscle. The muscle is not even working. The
Right.
eggs don't have enough nutrients, right? Because if you crack some of the eggs, right? The eggs from a chicken that actually live on a pasture and they took longer to grow, the egg has actually 3 times more nutrients and they look yellow, like bright yellow or bright
Mm.
orange yellow. If the eggs that is being forced to grow, right, it's basically like very pale yellow, like colorish, because there's
Right.
not enough nutrients in it. And so you think about the same concept as pumping a company that's not grown organically. You're just pumping the money to inflate the value or the amount of the share that people perceive. Then it's not real organic growth, and therefore
No.
it cannot be sustained. And that leads and accelerates to the death economy. It means that that company eventually is going to have to die, or somebody have to be really a genius at fulfilling the empty space,
Right.
because you
Yeah,
have
for
to have
sure.
this empty shell, and
Right.
something has to, you have to inject that shell with something really fast.
Right.
Otherwise it's gonna pop. That's why you hear the word bubbles all the time, is because it pops, right? It grows and it pops. And
Right.
you hear the housing bubble, you hear the tech bubble, and you hear the oil bubble, whatever. Like, it's all bubble because it's all empty
And then
shells.
we have economic hitmen that go plunder other resources from other different countries. This is what this guy's job was, to say like,
Mhm.
look, we'll outsource all this shit to you guys, or you guys we'll give you all these tax credits and breaks for oil or whatever. I mean, whatever the resources that you need to then go fix the problem, we just go plunder from somebody else, like just like everybody else does around the world. And then like eventually they'll grow to a point in time where they need to go plunder somebody else's resources. Eventually you run out of resources to plunder. Like, I mean, it's not a sustainable model. Like, it's just not. Like, I mean, it'll eventually run out of steam, and that's not what we want with company. Like, this is the
Right. And
seventh
so the
generation
thing is,
committee. This is
it's the economy, right? We're talking about the economy, but the economy has the literal translations to your life as
oh,
well,
for
because
sure, you have your own economy. Yeah, yeah, you
so
have
your life is particularly your
right,
economy, because if you follow the same path as the economy that we're in right now for your life, eventually you will regret spending the time working on something that doesn't matter to you. So that's what I'm saying is, the point of life, the point of living isn't to work, right? Is to live. You work just enough to have the capacity and ability to do the things that you want to do. And so you
right,
want to maximize the ability to spend the time to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. That to me is the ingredient, and maximize that particular, I guess, ingredient in terms of what life is supposed to be about. It's not about trying to grow and grow and grow and grow, because I don't want to grow. I just want to have peace in my life. I don't want to have more money, right? I
right,
just want to have enough money. I don't want to have too little money. I don't want to have too much money either, right?
right.
Because the thing is, you think, well, if I have little money versus too much money, which one I pick? Of course, you pick more money. But the thing is, you have to understand that whatever you pick, there's a trade-off, because when you have a lot of money, you have to work for it. You still have to work for it to make that kind of money.
Right.
But when you already have enough, why are you spending the time working for something to make more money than
Yep.
to stop making the money when you already have enough and spend the time to do the things that you want to do, what matters to you? And
Yep.
most people forget that path. They only say, I'm going to work, I'm going to make more money, and make more money, and make more money. And they say, well, what do I do if I don't work? Right? Because you forgot what your dreams
That
was. You
it,
forgot what you wanted to do. You forgot all that. I mean, we talked about your dad the other day. He works his whole life, but now you're asking, when you retire, what do you do? He goes, oh, I got to go back to work. I got to find something to do.
right.
The
Yeah.
point is, he
'Cause
doesn't
he's
know
bored.
what he's going to do in his free time,
Yeah.
because you forgot along the way what is why you work in the first place.
Agreed. It reminded me of Angie's List, a company that I used to work for
Mm.
initially. They had an amazing product market fit. Their customers loved them. The marketplace loved them. The service providers loved them, and the customers loved them. And we made good money. We were able to support a couple hundred, 500, 1,000 families here in Indianapolis or whatever it may be. And everybody had a great little culture. Our investors wanted more. So we ended up going public. And that's when it all went to shit. Then we started to make decisions based off of how do we appease them with the numbers that they want to see. So then we made awful decisions with the people that were enjoying a good marketplace that was functioning and there was value being generated and created. And we just kept plundering from the value. Like you just said, like the chicken's a great example, right? Just because you get a chicken to market faster doesn't mean that it's now nourishing more
that
people.
has
If
a
anything, it could
quality
be,
that you want.
like, so you can keep feeding this growth cycle that we needed to do to hit numbers, but it killed the company. I mean, it literally killed the company because we made stupid decisions. We started detracting value from other areas, and people
You blow
started
up so much, so big, so fast that it pops. I mean, that's in the past few decades. Right? You talk
Right.
about the financial collapse, the economic bubble, the real estate bubble, the tech bubble, 2000. And you have the tech bubble in 2000, the financial bubble in
Right.
2008. That's less than a decade. Now it's like less than a decade. Every 8 years, and now it goes. And now we're in a quote unquote recession. I don't know what that means, but
Right.
you know.
I mean, I could literally have foreseen Angie's List growing at a sustainable pace, and it would still be a great company right now, and it'd probably be a great company for another, I don't know how long. You know, you never really know. Like it was when we hit that pedal to the metal kind of thing to then go public and do all this other stuff. That's when all the wheels came apart, right? And I think of like, you know, what we're trying to do in general. Like, I mean, we were trying to go too fast at the beginning. Like, go at the pace that provides the nourishment. Like, the egg is such a good thing. Like, go at the pace that provides the nourishment and that provides the sustainability where everybody's getting what they need. I mean, what's wrong with having a business that's just a profitable, valuable business for the people that are engaged in it? What is wrong with that? Like, I just don't understand.
They want returns fast. They say, hey, okay, this business is gonna make this, $1 billion in 10 years. No, I want you to do it in one.
No.
So if you go to somebody to do any kind of funding, say, hey,
this plunder resources from somebody else to go get that done.
Just like 99% of all the VCs out there are doing is everybody is looking for money, and it's just going to pump up the value, inflate the value with hot air, right?
With steroids,
and
with chickens,
and you want to get that growth in so short of a time that it's like not sustainable. It's not possible. More of these companies are busting every single day just because they pump it so fast, so quick.
Right.
I mean, you have companies that spend like $10 million a year for the first year, and they didn't do anything. You look at Magic Leap, right? Google put in $1 billion. They don't even have a freaking glass. Like they promise like this light glass that you can put on, you can see the AR and VR, all that stuff. $1 billion, right? Nothing. They get nothing for the company. Go look
That's
it up.
okay. I don't care.
I'm saying is, it's one of those things where you're busting, like even before it becomes any.
It's just gambling.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it really is. But it's not just gambling, because you're gambling with people's lives. You're gambling with people's happiness. You're gambling with people's balance, their sustainability, their mental well-being, their purpose, like their values. You're gambling with a lot of people's lives and things that matter to them, and that's wrong. So like that's the death economy. Like if you're gonna support people's values,
to me it doesn't really matter because we have no control over it. I can't go and tell.
We do with clubbing.
No, we can and we cannot, right? So what I'm saying is you can't go to a VC firm and say, hey, you guys are doing things that are bad for you. You need to shut it down. You can't tell them to do that. The only thing we can control is, look, we know that that's not for us, right? And we're going to do things different. And the only thing we can do is say, this is what we're doing. That's what they're doing. Whoever is watching, you decide. You decide what side you want to be on. I don't care. I mean, you be on that one, fine. It's up to you. It's your prerogative. If you want on this side, come. Okay, you learn about this or you learn about that. Like I said, we can't say, the VC guys and the firms and all this growth it leads to a death economy, and everybody's going to get hurt because financially or mentally or whatever the case. That's something that we see. That's something that we believe. And we say, well, for us, because we know that, we are going to avoid it. I want to build a company where people want to work there more than the money they make.
Right. That's the life economy. Like, I mean, that's what we're talking about. And it's how I visualize the death economy versus the life economy. Like, there's no right or wrong answer to any of this stuff. I mean, we're not claiming that we know more than somebody else, but at the same time, we also are seeing that this is not a sustainable, like we've lived it. And we're like, this isn't sustainable. Like, this isn't something that we want to do. And then we want
I
to
mean, this
engage
is what we
in,
see. I mean, this is
right,
what we see, and we're pointing it out. Like you say, like we say the VC is putting money and expecting return in a so short amount of time that the company that actually grow, right, they tend to disappear.
right.
And so
They don't
that's
tend to,
evident.
they
I'm not telling you any, I'm not
right,
making up any stories. I'm just
right,
saying, look, that's what I see. And because of what I see, I'm assuming that doesn't work. That's the conclusion I come from the evidence that I see.
right.
I'm merely pointing out the evidence and I'm telling you what I think is the reason why it comes to that outcome.
Agreed.
And because I don't want an outcome, I say, well, here is something that you can do to avoid having that outcome. And it's up to you to take it in and do your own analysis and decide if that makes sense to you or it doesn't.
I couldn't agree more. I know we're way past time, so I'm going to go ahead and put a pin on this one just because I know you probably got to jump, and I know I do too as well. So, the question we can leave with anybody following along is, in what ways can you help support the life economy in your own world, right? So, like, this is your own decision. Like Drew just said, you can't control what other people do. We can't control what other people do, but you can control your world, and you
Mm-hmm.
can either live for sustainability or you could live for, plunder resources and feed the growth monster. I mean, that's up to you. I know which way we're deciding, and if that appeals to you, then and keep following. I appreciate your time, and thanks for joining. We'll see you all on Monday.
Yeah.